What up, Space Fam? Goes in here from Anime Uproar with the latest and craziest developments in the One Piece story. And oh my, there is a lot to talk about here, from Kuma's destination to arriving at Elbaf, to Zorro fighting, to Garp and Blackbeard, and so much more. So make sure to stay tuned for what must be one of the most busy chapters in One Piece of all time. Channel the Pirate King within, and smash that like button if you enjoy seeing these One Piece reviews and want to keep them coming. Be a smashing Pirate King rather than passing Orochi, and the universe will reward you accordingly. And hit that subscribe button below the video to join the Nakama so you don't miss future One Piece videos and updates. Over half of the people watching these videos aren't subscribed, so let's try to get that subscribe percentage up and I'll let you know if we succeed. And now, without further ado, let's jump into it, spoilers and all. So this chapter is called A Hero's Offensive, and oh boy will it ever deliver when we get to that part. But for now, we see Kuma flying through the air and we find out that he ends up in Redport, the base of the Red Line. People freak out that it's Kuma and comment on how they heard he fled the Holy Land. Remember that Marijoa is located on the Red Line. They call him the Celestial Dragon's invincible slave, and I definitely would like to see him get some revenge on Celestial Dragons, but I feel like Kuma probably has something more important in mind. All available Marines are ordered to be deployed where Kuma is, and civilians are advised that he's extremely dangerous. He's called a man with no shred of humanity, and it's added that his current purpose and programming is unknown. Oda is really doing a good job of hyping up the mystery around Kuma here. What do you think is his goal right now? Let me know in the comments. Anyways, we then jump back to Egghead, and although CP0 is trying to surround our guys, even with the Seraphims under their control now, they can't get to our guys because of the nuisance that is the Frontier Dome. Kaku calls it a marvel, and it goes to show the power of science to actually pose a problem for strong characters. Lucci is asked if he's determined to ignore the Navy, and Lucci responds that he refuses to accept Straw Hat as an emperor, which is hilarious to me. It's definitely because of his personal history with him, but I like seeing such individuality within the Marines. It would be boring if they all just followed orders. And speaking of not following orders, just wait for it, it's gonna get crazy. We then jump to the different punks arguing what they should do, and then another ally is brought up who is on the island, another intriguing mystery. It's said that they shouldn't call them because then they'd be risking their lives and they'd have nowhere left to hide if they're in the government sites too. But main body Vegapunk doesn't hesitate to call and ask for help. And the voice says, of course, and that they've been prepared for this order. So intriguing, man. And it's nice to see that our side seems to be getting some help, since the last few chapters with the Seraphims joining CP0 and Kizaru arriving were all about the Marines getting in a better and better situation. This figure seems to be a big deal, since it said escape should be a piece of cake now with them on board. All they gotta do is just keep CP0 busy. Lilith says she'll take them to port with Vega Force 1, and it's hilarious that it took me actually reading out loud while recording this to realize that it sounds like Air Force One. That's hilarious. But anyways, that's where they can presumably get on the Straw Hat ship. And in another hilarious moment, Daft Punk says, "I approve," only for Lilith to say, "Who put you in charge?" Love that even these satellites have so much personality and fleshed out dynamics. And it's definitely understandable between a number 1 and number 2. Vegapunk then gets packed and asks them to take all 7 of them to the ship, although I personally doubt that they'll all make it on board. For Sanji's sake though, I hope Lilith does make it. And I just love to see how hyped up Frankie is about traveling with the 7 faces of the world's best scientist. Vegapunk is like his Mihawk. Then we jump to Bonnie trying to hunt down Vegapunk and Luffy chasing after her, telling her that he promised to get the old timer out of here in one piece. And yes, they just said the title of the show in the chapter. Coincidence? Probably. And if you want Bonnie to join the crew like me, let everyone know by smashing that like button. Let's see how much of us there are. But then another shocking thing happens. The Frontier defenses go offline. Why? I have no idea. The punks are wondering who would disable it and for what reason. And they are told that no one is picking up anything in the control room, so another mystery presents itself. Interestingly enough, Lucci is the one who thinks it might be a trap since it seems so convenient. And yeah, it is insanely convenient for them to be sure, to the point where Oda better have a good explanation for it soon. I mean, yes, it's more interesting if a conflict happens, but at the same time, it's unrealistic, so there has to be a good reason. They try and everything seems okay, so they conclude that the heavens must have abandoned Vegapunk. They arrive at the Straw Hat ship, so this seems to be where things will go down, since the Straw Hats are headed there too. Kaku goes to destroy the ship, and he has the most confident, satisfied smirk as he's about to do it. And it's so satisfying for me when we see Zorro wake up from his nap and slash away his attack like it was nothing. Immediately, Kaku gets upset, and you love to see the change in expression. Zorro is irritated that someone interrupted interrupted his nap. Man, he's so cool. Whereas Kaku looks shocked and like he fears for his life, sweat beads pouring down his face and everything. And I'm hyped because I always get excited about Zorro fights and Zorro action. Sometimes even more excited than Luffy action, I gotta say. The satellites get the Frontier Dome back online, but the CP0 agents have already infiltrated, and our guys know that they'll target the ship. It's so good that Zorro is there though. I have no fear of them destroying it with Zorro there to protect it. Not at all. Luffy and Chopper are finally reunited with the rest of the crew, and Luffy is kind of upset that they are rushing to leave after they just arrived to this really cool place. And then people notice that Bonnie is missing, and so is, surprise surprise, Vegapunk. 100 points to anyone who can guess why they're missing. But then it's revealed when we jump to Vegapunk running for his life and saying they're in a rush. However, Bonnie is not having any of it. She asks if he can turn her dad back to normal, yes or no, and we get another clue when Vegapunk says no, but that there is a reason for that. He even wanted to explain, but so far Bonnie isn't hearing him out. So hopefully soon we'll get the truth behind Kuma revealed. Then, what is maybe the most hype part of the chapter, we see Kid and his crew and they end up at the home of Giants Elbaf. This is so hype to me in part because the One Piece community has been hyping up the Elbaf arc for so long and associating Shanks with it. So not only is this exciting because Kid has history with Shanks, but also because it could be the beginning of a much hyped up Elbaf arc, or at least teasing it. But as if that wasn't a good place to end, Oda gives us another hype detail that is arguably even more hype. We get Garp being Garp, and that's always a good thing. We figure out that he wants to launch an offensive against an emperor. And when he's asked if he ran it by people in charge, he said, why would he? Such an epic response. This dude must be the top 3 coolest in the series, I must say. It's also pointed out that he survived in the Navy for decades with that attitude. Such a boss. Such a boss. Such a boss. He just says don't worry about it, and it's revealed he's at G14. But he's not going to nearby Egghead. Instead, he meets up with Helmeppo, who's crying about Kobe still. Garp says stop whimpering, it's hard to watch, and get on board to Helmeppo. He says they're going to Pirate Island, Blackbeard's HQ. He says let's beat the snot out of those pirates and save Captain Kobe. And wow, that is huge. The hero of the Marines, Garp, the one alluded to in the title of the chapter, which was a hero's offensive, Helmeppo starts crying even harder in the face of such awesomeness. In the context of the story, I feel like this conflict may be a way for Oda to hype up Blackbeard even more, but either way, this is as hype as it gets. Garp is past his prime, yes, but he's still a living legend and a half, and I can't wait to see how Oda deals with this situation. And we gotta keep in mind, Garp is not just ignoring the Navy, he's also going after another Emperor, Blackbeard, who is an antagonist to Luffy. And Luffy obviously wants to save Kobe too. So this is pretty much like Garp just teaming up with Luffy right now, and the implications are so hype, I can't even explain them all right here. However, even a legend like Garp will have trouble with the Blackbeard pirates, and if you want to know why, don't miss my video about all 16 Blackbeard pirates and their powers explained, link on screen right now and in the description.